For 2.5 years, my fiancé, a 32-year-old man, and I, a 30-year-old woman, have been engaged. In a prestigious company, I work as a management consultant. My fiancé and I first connected in graduate school. We have a tremendous income, and he works in finance. We lead happy lives together and will tie the knot in 3 months. My fiancé ended their 9-year relationship when he failed to propose to her. Before we started dating, he spent a year ending that relationship. He told me straight out that he had hurt her deeply, but the longer he stayed with her, the more he came to the conclusion that she was not someone he would ever truly want in a life partner. We became close over time, and he acknowledged that he had never felt that kind of connection with someone before. He was always aware of the lifestyle and type of lady he desired, as well as the kind that would make him fall in love. And after 1.5 years, he proposed to me, which just so happens to be me. Neither of us has children. I persuaded this man to commit even though we'd been dating for much less time, and some dark side of me felt a thrill of validation, ego-stroking, and satisfaction. He claims that his former partner was likewise childless, but he also says that he doesn't think he truly loved her and that the only reason he stayed with her was because of how long they had been together. She was obviously a wreck when he dumped her, and she sought to win him back and yearned to marry him. However, he moved on. My fiancé invited me as a guest to his college reunion celebration last week, which also included his ex. I wasn't bothered unless anything went very wrong, which it did. I had a bit of a territorial vibe. Both he and I made a point of wearing my engagement ring. It seems that rumors circulated, and when she learned about them, she became utterly drunk. She suddenly appeared in our group and began berating my fiancé for finding a hotshot Candy to be his trophy wife when she truly deserved it. Despite my anger, I remained composed and told her, in front of everyone around me, "Oh honey, sorry, but he didn't want you. If he wanted to propose, he would have. Next time, I hope your role is not limited to helping others refine their preferences and partners." She turned to face me after that and said, "Men like him marry the woman in front of them when they're ready for marriage, so good luck." I have no idea what happened, but as soon as she heard it, she began sobbing uncontrollably. She made a total fool of herself by crashing against the table since she was inebriated. The host escorted her out of the party, and we quickly left. Together with my fiancé, I thought she should have heard it, but I'm beginning to think it might have been too harsh. Am I the foolish one? It's you who is the fool. Selfish, conceited fool. You succeeded, you got the guy. She shouldn't have approached you because she was drunk, but you had the option to show more maturity and simply leave. However, you didn't. You had to give her a nose rub while happily observing her meltdown. And what the heck, the fact that he proposed to you after just 1.5 years seemed to boost your ego. You need to have your ego massaged, but most good, courteous people don't. You're the lovely princess who was chosen, we see now. She's the old hag that wasn't selected, yay you. It required a 10-page dissertation to inform us of your selection. Congratulations, OP. Why are you trying so hard to show off how great you are? Why are you unable to feel sympathy for her? You might as well have been the other lady he dated for 9 years before deciding to let her go. Your fiancé is a small, cowardly worm, and I have no respect for him. Me, and myself. Fantastic, OP sounds like such a joy, me. You are aware of karma, don't you, darling? You'll find out if you give him another 6.5 years. Simply wait for him to get weary of you the way he grew weary of her. That girl, poor thing. That's right, OP will tell everyone that she was selected for the next 6.5 years, but after that, she will have to reapply for selection. How come, OP, are you in your 30s and still infatuated with this type of innocent high school romance? Similar to getting married with some mic drop in 3 months. Similar to how marriages and engagements never end in divorce. Sometime soon, the two of you are going to have an incredibly painful wake-up call. May God bless your hearts. After 2.5 years together, you both already think you're the epitome of the ideal, and you both believe in some kind of soulmate crap that will prevent you from becoming better versions of yourselves until you destroy each other. Yes, thank you so much. There is nothing in our family that calls for a full-size truck. We don't camp, we don't move anything, and we don't own a trailer. Other than the fact that my spouse truly desired a $100,000 truck, we had no need to acquire one. He insisted that this is what he wanted, and it was within our budget. We have 2 teenagers, 3 children, and our amazing surprise baby. Unplanned, but undoubtedly enjoyable. The baby and I never go anyplace in the truck. My hubby maintains it immaculate. With our assistance and that of his grandparents, my son was able to buy a Jetta. Although not in excellent condition, the automobile is dependable. Our family car is a Porsche Cayenne that I own. The baby's typical stains are on the back seat. That's the real world. My spouse was just promoted, therefore he now has to travel into the city twice a week. He attempted to drive his vehicle, but it is too large to fit in his office's parking garage. He had to park at a surface lot a block away from potential threats from narrow duels and hooligans. On the days that he goes to work, he asked to borrow my automobile. I assured him it would not be an issue, telling him to just load the car seat into the truck so I could take the baby for a spin. Nope, he preferred that I keep my distance from his truck and use our son's automobile while driving the elder children. I politely denied his offer and informed him that I needed my automobile for me, thus it was off limits. He now has no choice except to take public transportation, so he must borrow our son's Jetta. Although he could afford to take an Uber in, he is also reluctant to do so. I believe he's being unreasonable about his truck, but he claims I'm being a monster for not allowing him use my car. Not the fool. There are 3 cars: the family automobile that your husband picked out and purchased for his own usage, the inexpensive car for the son, and the family car that is required to carry the younger children. Sometimes our decisions are our own responsibility. Why should his inappropriate vehicle choice cause you or the kids to suffer? He is a foolish fool who only wants his gaudy, dazzling trinket. I could care less about practicalities like fuel consumption, cost, pollution, or being able to park the bloody thing so it could be utilized for work, but I can't take the idea of anyone else touching it. It doesn't seem like your fault at all. This guy spent $100,000 on a truck, and he has no idea how to park it. Oh no. Not to mention that it's one of the silliest things I've ever heard to maintain a pickup truck spotless. Looks like he's got a princess on the pavement. Vehicle for emotional support is another term for it. It's his issue to resolve. He can't drive your Porsche if you can't drive his truck. It seems inconceivable to me to spend $100,000 on something that would help my family and keep it to myself, then expect everyone else to pull out all the stops for me in the event that my purchase fails. Do the job for me. They were compensating for something, trucks, as I put it. My father also treated himself to a truck that cost more than $110K. Now that she could get hay to the barn where she kept horses, my stepmother was ecstatic. My dad declined because of the mess. She went out and got the exact identical truck to prove to him who was in charge since she was so furious. He uses his car however he pleases. You use yours whatever you like. I've made the decision that, except from my preteen twins at my wedding, I don't want any kids when I get married. I want them to be a part of my special day since they mean a lot to me. They won't bother anyone because they'll spend the entire time at the reception with the babysitter. My decision infuriated my siblings, who are parents of small children. They remarked that it's unjust that I let my children but not theirs. They call me self-centered and say I should invite every child in the family or none at all. They even made a threat to not come to my wedding if I didn't decide to cancel. They seem too dramatic to me, and I think I should be able to invite anybody I want to my wedding. Although I adore my nieces and nephews, I don't want them to ruin the festive mood. My own children are my children, and I want them to see me wed their father, therefore I also don't want to exclude them. Is it my fault that I invited only my twins to my wedding but not any other kids? Your desire for your wedding to be all about you is so self-centered. Gosh. Not the fool. The children of the bride and groom are an exception, but anyone with a brain can see that. To be fair, I can see why your sister might think it's a slight, but she needs to realize that it has nothing to do with her or her children. Children and your children are not the same thing. Will your twins, however, be lonely at the wedding without their relatives to play with? Even at a wedding, it might get a little monotonous to be a child in an adult-only setting. I understand your sibling's perspective, but be ready to forego a traditional, adult wedding. Can someone please explain to me why so many people believe that having children at a wedding is a big deal? What is the particular environment that individuals are worried about maintaining? Due to their long-standing tradition, children play special roles in American weddings. For example, what mood are you trying to achieve? A silent music performance? A carefree cocktail party that ends in intense intimacy? I don't understand why there are a few kids at every wedding I've been to. Excellent query. I hope someone responds because I'm also baffled by this. A toddler screaming and running down the aisle during a wedding is something I've never witnessed. Yes, I suppose that is possible, but getting a stomach ailment in the middle of the ceremony may just as easily spoil your day. We literally support alcohol use, despite the fact that it is far more likely to cause wedding trouble. Furthermore, when did people decide that they were allowed to bring their kids? Children have attended weddings literally since the beginning of marriages. I think it's much more crazy to expect everyone you know to drop everything and hit the sitter because, God forbid, their focus isn't fixed on you non-stop. After 9 years of dating, my ex and I had a toddler boy. It was around this time that I found out my ex had gotten pregnant by someone else. As soon as my ex's daughter was born, he moved in with this other woman, and I promptly filed for divorce. All trace of the other woman was lost from the face of the planet. The other lady hadn't wanted a child, according to my ex's sister, and it was thought she had returned to the UK, where she was born, but none of them was positive. With our son, my ex and I share parenting time equally. We agree to split expenses, but since he can't always give everything, I typically end up footing the bill. Since we officially make the same money, the judge decided not to order child support. All he has to do is feed an extra mouth. My ex's kid is in kindergarten, and our son is currently a preteen. Several times, my ex has voiced concerns about how much more our son has. I covered the cost of our son's extracurricular activities because he requested them. While my ex struggles to provide for his daughter in the same way that we provide for our son, I also make sure he has all he needs for school. My ex wanted us to collaborate so that we could equally care for all of the children, but I told him it wasn't my responsibility to make sure his daughter was taken care of. I informed him that it's his problem, not mine, that he has 2 children to support while I just have 1. I told him no, arguing that when I made this choice, I ought to have been considering the helpless children. X expressed even more worries once the children were back to school. His kid enrolled in her first day of elementary school. He said I didn't send the school supplies to his house, yet his daughter had more than our kid. Since he was with me on the first day of school, son has carried them around. According to him, his daughter became sad after seeing her sibling had more goods. Additionally, he mentioned that our son had more than enough school supplies, but his daughter needed to borrow some. He stated that their school bags were of significantly different quality, among other things. It appears that the original poster did not even ask him to share the expense of her son's supplies. He wants to shift the extra work of going shopping for groceries to her. Can't we come to an agreement? Really, why can't you just buy things for both of the kids and take care of the mom duties so I don't have to? Here is where there's an easy fix. Locating the mother, he can force her to pay child support. He is able to work 2 jobs. He is able to beg his relatives for money. He has some items that he can sell. He's got access to his retirement funds. He can do without the cable. He is able to move to generic brands. In Vegas, he can learn how to count cards. He may open a shop on Etsy. Does the mother's side not support the girl? Is her daughter's birth certificate missing her name? To be honest, I'm not sure. Given that she took out practically quickly after the baby girl was delivered, she might not be. Since it sounds like she's simply disappeared and there's no way to get in touch with her, if she's from the UK, they could not even be aware that her daughter exists. Considering what his sister told me, I believe there may be some shame. It sounds like he didn't know much about her, and he may be embarrassed to acknowledge that he doesn't even know her whole name or the precise location of her origin. Many things about his sister, according to his sister, he was unable to respond to. That's crazy, wow. Unless, that is, she gave birth in a taxi's back and fled before it reached the hospital. The birth certificate bears her name. But this girl actually did you a favor. You escaped a gunshot. Not only is your ex a fool, but he's far worse than that. He is a moron. To be petty, those are the most dangerous people on the planet. To locate her affair partner, I would continue look on social media. Better yet, I would contact some family members and inform them that she is a non-compliant parent. Both she and your ex bother me. My girl is at preschool. Now she's back to being a princess. While my sister-in-law and I don't agree on many things, one area we do disagree on is toys and outfits for boys and girls. My daughter Emma was small when I was lenient with it. Since she was a newborn, she has worn a wide variety of garments, and at the time, she didn't seem to care. I didn't mind that my sister-in-law would gift clothes to a baby boy. She keeps doing this, which is the problem. Emma is obviously a girly girl. She enjoys wearing gowns, plays with makeup, and owns a phony kitchen set. Her guy toys, which include trucks and other stuff, gather dust. I've spoken with her previously. Yesterday was Emma's birthday, and my sister-in-law got her some outfits for her boy. When my kid saw them, she made a face. I held off on returning them until after the celebration. My kid told me straight out that they were unattractive and that she was not going to wear them. She labeled me a jackass for sticking with gender stereotypes after our heated conversation. I have my doubts about this. Not the fool. While I strongly disagree with gender norms, I also realize that arguing with a 4-year-old about their wardrobe is a waste of everyone's valuable time, unless the child is wearing something improper, like a bathing suit in the winter. Your sister-in-law is spending her money on things, your daughter won't wear them, and you're keeping her from doing so. She could purchase items other than clothing. E.g., she could get some of the numerous children's books on accomplished women in history that were available. Presents ought to be intended for the recipient, not for the giver. Having said that, your kid is getting old enough that you can train with her to take gifts that we don't like without acting rudely. Etc. Ah, that's exactly right. What precisely are boy clothes? Maybe wear items that are practical and comfortable. Not in her age range of pink. Although it is quite improbable that your daughter will feel strongly about aesthetic matters, she is mimicking your strong messages. Therefore, you are the fool for refusing gifts and for demanding strict gender conformity. Be grateful, express your gratitude, and donate them.